All right, and we are live. Sorry, it's taking me a few more minutes extra than normal to get going here, but I think I was still just in a bit of shock. And yeah, I've got Pistons thoughts. He should be up here in a minute, Jordan. But yeah, I'm with you, Kevin. I feel pretty sick as well. I think that's what I had on the caption for the final score thing. But yeah, the Pistons lose to the Hornets at the buzzer on a putback to Brandon Miller, 107, 108. And I feel like we've seen this happen a fair few times to the Pistons. Happen against the Wizards, I think, last season or season before. I just feel like we've seen them lose on a putback. That's at least the third one I can remember. There's probably more in the past few years, but yeah, we'll we're gonna talk our way through this. I've just got my man here joining me now to get us through the next hour. How are you, my friend?
I hate it. I hate it.
I
It's
know.
right there. It's right
I'm
there.
s- I'm so flat. I just said like I didn't even get the link to you till like 15 minutes after, because I'm just like sitting here like in shock and just shattered.
I mean the end of the game went perfectly to get that steal and the Ron
Yeah.
Holland bucket. They miss a shot and just this happened, was it last year or 2 years ago? Where
It
Pistons lost in the same way, where
it
just
was
like
either I think it was the season before last, but I feel like we've seen a couple of these. Yeah.
just no rebounding on the floor. I mean, I get it in that situation. There's only a few seconds left. You just want to get your athletic people in there to get the stop, but
Yeah.
just
So
brutal.
there was no big on the court, was there?
Nah,
No. So
which almost worked,
I know, man,
but
I'm
I
rattled.
mean,
I just like I feel like they kind of didn't like I felt like neither team deserved to win this game, like up until we entered the fourth quarter.
yeah,
And then LaMelo kind of took over. I think he had 15 in the last quarter. Cade doesn't score. So
yep,
then you're like, okay, LaMelo's got it going. He's going to win it for him. But then that Ron Holland bucket and the steal from Tobias, it's like literally one end of the spectrum, like the highest of highs. Like
yeah.
you're in, could not believe that. And then to the lowest of lows within a minute. And I'm just like, I'm all over the place, man.
It's just brutal, and not to mention who knows how long Duran's out.
Yeah.
I'm sure we'll talk about it, but
Yeah.
man, just a brutal finish to a game that they should have won. It shouldn't have even been that close, if we're being honest.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah,
no, I agree. I think that's like kind of my big takeaway is the ending obviously sucks. They could have stole that one. And I think the disappointing thing is I still think the Knicks loss was way more disappointing, but I think that loss that stings. One, because of the ending, but two, I just
yeah,
felt like the Pistons in that first quarter, especially, like they should have been up by like double digits, and I just didn't feel like Cade had it going, but I just felt like they were too. The energy wasn't there. The only guy that really I felt like changed the game with energy was Paul Reed,
yeah.
Big Ball Paul, but I just didn't like the energy for most of the night, and it was just a really frustrating watch, I thought.
Yeah, no, totally agreed. Yeah, and yeah, I'm sure we'll talk about it too. Just fourth quarter, just super flat, especially from Cade again. Um, it's interesting. Like I noticed JB pulled him out for a minute or two, probably a minute or two too late. Because again, like we've been seeing this season so far, it's like he looked kind of gassed in the fourth quarter. Started off so strong and just you know. And he had a pretty bad turnover with like 3 or 4 minutes left.
That was
Um,
yeah.
Definitely didn't help. But I mean, another triple double. I mean, he's playing really well. It's
Well,
just
that's
again,
yeah. The scoreless fourth is there's no way around it. Even like though, like I thought the Hornets were like he was playing under a lot of pressure. Like, the Hornets were sending
yeah.
two to him, and I
Hmm.
thought he made the right pass most of the time. Like he found Fontecchio for a three, he found Tim Hardaway Jr. for a three. Like I thought he found Big Ball Paul.
Yep.
Like I think he scored his first 14 points and didn't have an assist. But like obviously, like I thought he did well in the fourth, but when you don't
Mhm.
score it and you lose, it's kind of like he is the franchise guy. So I'm
Right.
not sticking up for him. So and then LaMelo on the other end, who
Just
just comes out
unreal.
and yeah, unreal. So I mean, I know you kind of just touched on Cade, but yeah, he played well, but he didn't really deliver.
Yeah, again, I mean, it's something that's gonna come. I mean, his rookie year, like, he was one of the clutchest players in the league. Like, I believe that's who he is. I don't know if it's a conditioning thing. I don't know if it's just he's just he has too much responsibility through the first 3.5 quarters, and then by the time the last 6 minutes comes, he's just gassed. I don't know what it is, but it's something that I think will get better. It's just it sucks right now.
Yeah, it's yeah. I think some of it's a conditioning thing. And I just like this is not I'm not making excuses, but I just think like teams just know come the fourth quarter or earlier if the
Mhm.
Pistons are leading, just send two every single
Yeah.
time. And like Tim Hardaway Jr. has been making some big shots, and
Yep.
Ivy made a big three towards the last game to ice that one. But Tobias just cannot hit a shot.
Oh for
So
3 from 3.
like yeah, and missed another corner like 3 bad. Like, I know his three-point percentages overall are bad, but
Yeah.
every time he's in the corner, I'm just like, "This isn't going in." So I just like, he needs to be better and try and figure it out. I did feel like the loss of Duren hurt him,
Yeah.
just not having that lob threat. I thought Big Ball Paul was really good, but
Yep.
just yeah, I think that really helps Kate having a real lob threat. But, yeah, 0 points in the last quarter is it's hard to defend that. Um,
Yeah, I mean, it's also the Durant thing sucks because they were playing a Hornets team with borderline no center. I mean, Taj
yeah,
Gibson is their center, who played well, but it's like if Duran's in there,
yeah,
he's getting 15 and 15 or more. I think. I don't think this is really like the Pistons didn't have an offensive rebound until late in the game.
really.
That
Wow.
definitely changes if Duran's in. Um, Yeah, not having a lob threat hurts for sure. But yeah, Paul Reed was great. This is why we got him, for
Yeah,
situations like this. You'd like to have like a big body big too, but it's good to see that he stepped in and played well. But yeah, just the everybody's got to hit their open shots in the fourth because, like you said, they're sending 2 or 3 at Cade, as every team should. It's
yeah,
proven to work until he has guys around him that can hit shots. I mean, theoretically, he does. Like I know we talked about Tobias last time I was on, and then he followed it up with some great games.
yeah,
But it's something where again, like I'm not worried about it. It's gonna come around, but it's been brutal
yeah,
especially like he played fine tonight, but yeah, especially in the fourth, you gotta hit the corner
yeah,
three. Like, what are we doing here? And then last
yeah,
game, or I think it was last game or 2 games ago, when he missed like 3 wide open corner threes.
yeah,
Just momentum changing. Yeah, it was the Lakers game where
yeah.
like we pulled it out, but
No,
you gotta hit those, Tobias. At
I know.
least one.
I know, man. He must have some real head noise going on there in the
Yeah.
corners. Like but yeah, I like just to round it out on K. I, it's like it is very hard to watch this. But and fans won't want to hear this, and that's fine. But I just think we're watching him go through the growing pains now of trying to win. I think I've spoken about
Yep.
it with yourself or some of the other people who have come up. Like he hasn't ever, apart from his rookie season, like the amount of non-competitive games Cade has been in where the game is over by the fourth. He was injured for like his whole second season. Like I think
Yep.
he's truly just trying to navigate and figure out how, like when teams are sending all this pressure to me,
Yeah.
how do I navigate this and how am I going to with my coach? Like, how are we going to like make life easier for me? But I think we're just actually witnessing growing pains. And I
Yeah.
know people don't want to listen to this. They've seen enough losing. But I think this is where like Ivy hitting that key three against the Lakers,
Yeah.
huge. THJ, like I think he has been that trade's looking pretty good.
Yeah.
um,
Yeah. Yeah.
and
Definitely.
I'm not just trying to be all rosy here because tonight sucks, but I think
Yeah.
like, like I just thought Cade made a lot of great decisions in the last, and just yeah, it's tough for him because he's not the most athletic, so it's hard for him to
Right.
just burst through and like get to the cup. But I don't know, LaMelo scored 15, and yeah, it looks bad. I guess.
Yeah. I
Any
mean,
final thoughts on Cade?
no, I think we've summed it up. But just even despite all that, they were a tip in at the buzzer away from coming out with a win with another triple double from him, and like it's all good, you know.
Yeah,
It sucks though. No getting around that.
it does. And I think now, like tonight's game, like before, like I thought once I saw who was out, the Pistons should win this, but before the like a day or two ago, I was thinking they probably could lose this just because it's on the road and it's Charlotte.
Yeah.
That doesn't. I'm not giving them a pass for tonight. For me, the next game against Atlanta is the one they have to win at home of the
Yeah.
upcoming three. But like you said, that is such a Pistons way to lose, and it's
It's
funnily
brutal.
enough, like you said, it's definitely not the first time it's happened in the past 2 seasons. I
Yeah.
think I've seen at least another two. So
Yeah.
moving on, thoughts. The other thing I've seen kind of going across Twitter and had a couple of DMs is people talking about JB not having a big in at the end. We kind of already touched on it, but I've just, yeah, thoughts.
It's one of those things where like I understand it's tough because we've been burnt by it before. I
Yeah,
don't know if he has in Cleveland,
yeah,
but it makes sense. I've two things. I think it makes sense to not necessarily like if it was Duran, I think it makes sense to not have him in the game. But Stu and Paul Reed are pretty mobile bigs. I mean, you know, they're definitely smaller bigs, but they're your two centers right now. And I think having one of them, like Stu is a good perimeter defender. Like whenever he gets switched on to smaller players, it doesn't go well for the smaller players usually. So that was interesting because of how athletic and like mobile Stu is. Again, like if Dern wasn't on the floor, I get it. I mean, I know he was hurt, but like if that was the decision, but I think Stu or Paul Reed very easily could have and should have been on the floor. Obviously, hindsight 2020, but
yeah,
I mean, they got the stop.
yeah,
They just, you know, couldn't secure the rebound. But yeah, it would have been nice. But the thing is, too, it's like hypothetically, let's say I'm just thinking out loud here. Let's say Stu's on the floor, he gets switched onto the perimeter and is the
yeah,
one contesting the three. You're in the same boat, anyways. It doesn't matter who is on the floor.
yeah.
So I don't know. I
It's
think
one
it's
of, yeah.
no.
I
Go
think
ahead.
you summarized it really well. Like, yes, people are. It's fair to criticize JB, but like you said, I think Brandon Miller got that shot off with zero point 0.3 seconds. Like they're
Yeah,
zero point
yeah,
0.3 seconds away from winning, and no one's talking about that. And like you said, what if that big's on the perimeter? Like, I just think it almost worked. Like, so
right,
it's fair to criticize it because they lost, but
for sure.
I don't know. It's just sometimes those play like that was just such a bang bang. Like the shot misses, and he just I don't know. It's just so much going on in a second. Like maybe it doesn't even matter, but
I
yeah,
mean, also if it goes on the other side of the rim, game's over. You know,
yeah,
it's just one of those bad breaks. Yeah, I don't know. I don't. It's easy to criticize it, and I get it. Like I'm half criticizing it myself, but I think that the outcome's likely the same if you have Stu out there.
yeah, yeah. No,
But
it's.
I don't know.
I wanted to like talk about Paul Reed and Ron Holland. Paul Reed tonight, 13 points, 6 of 6 from the field. I thought he gave them a much needed spark at the end of the third. And then Ron Holland, step back three, corner three, and then that crazy, crazy play to put the Pistons ahead.
I can't
Thoughts
believe he
on-
went up with that,
I
but I
know.
love it.
I know. I was like, "Are you serious? Are you serious? He's not going to pass
Yeah.
it off." And then he made it, and I was just like in shock. Oh my god!
Yeah.
But
He might have traveled if we're being honest here, but
yeah,
it's okay. It's okay.
those two though, I think were two huge positives out of a pretty
Yeah.
frustrating game.
I mean, Ron's shot, like, it honestly looks to me, to my untrained eye, looks more consistent than it did in college or in the G League. Um, it's one of those things where like I'm okay with him if he keeps shooting it. Like he's not out there I mean, he was tonight, but he's not out there in general in crunch time where it's like, oh, wait, don't shoot it right now. Just throughout the game, like, I'm okay that he keeps shooting them. I mean, I think they'll start going in more than what is he, like 3 for
I think that
19 on the year or something like that.
yeah, something like that, yeah.
Close to that. But Ron's been nice to see playing. He
Yeah.
reminds me a lot of Asar, which, again, hopefully Asar's back soon and he's all good health wise. But the two of them, if either of them can hit shots at an almost average level, they can be really scary to play against defensively. But Ron's been good. A lot of energy. Thinks he still has to clean up, but like again, it's similar to like summer league game 1 to game 5. Crazy
Yeah,
improvement. Like super out of control game 1. By game 5, you're like, I see the vision. I'm all in.
yeah,
I think similar to how he started this season. I mean, if he misses that shot at the end, it's probably a different conversation, but he didn't. Um, so I thought, yeah, he was a spark, and Paul Reed I thought was great. I mean, when we traded for Paul, I was like, I don't think, like, I think he's too good to not play, and I've been wrong so far. He hasn't been playing, but like, phenomenal emergency center.
yeah,
And yeah, I mean, this is just what he does. Like, he did it all last year when Embiid's out. He's a very solid offensive player, solid defender, decent rebounder, and just I love it.
yeah. No, I agree. Like, and I love like just the way he can finish around the rim. Like Duran and Stu, like Stu was okay tonight. Like he made a couple of buckets, but
Yeah,
every shot Paul Reed put up in the paint, like I think he hit a lefty hook at the end. Like obviously he got up for a dunk or two. Like he's like crafty as like
yeah,
he's a scorer, and I
for
think
sure.
Pistons make me weep. Who I know is Allen, who's been up here a few times. I agree. He's too good not to play. I
Yeah,
can see why he hasn't played to date, but yeah, I guess with Duran, I feel like he probably is going to miss a game or two. I hope not. Hope I'm wrong, but looks like we're going to
yeah.
get to see a lot more Paul Reed.
I think Duran's wearing ankle braces now, right? I'm
Yeah,
I'm pretty confident he is. So I do wonder because if this was pre ankle brace Duran, he's probably out for 3 weeks again, like he has been in the past.
yeah,
But I mean, the fact that he was playing, like, he obviously didn't have the same lift, and like you could tell he was hurting a little bit, but like it didn't look terrible. The
yeah,
fact that he was able to play for like 5 minutes, 5, 6 minutes after it happened, and like looked pretty good. I mean, I know he missed that dunk layup situation. I don't know if that was because the ankle or like it was a weird, like, I don't think he was expecting the pass.
yeah,
Um, but yeah, he'll probably miss a game or two. But having Paul there is definitely nice. But again, the issue you run into with Stu and Paul Reed as your two centers is
yeah.
you're pretty
Small.
undersized.
They are. Yeah, I didn't. I knew who, like, obviously Paul Reed was on the like 76ers. I just didn't realize how undersized he kind of is. Like he's athletic in the sense of like I feel like he's pretty bouncy and like he's pretty quick, but yeah, he's not very bulky or anything either. So he's
Yeah,
definitely more of like a finesse big. But I think he was a huge positive.
agreed.
I've got my man Blake coming up here in the next few minutes, so I'm gonna turn it to you. Final thoughts. Maybe like I always like to finish it like over, especially after a loss like this or a huge
I've
loss.
only been on after losses, and that might
I
be
know,
an us issue.
man. Like overall outlook. I think the last time you came on was it maybe after the Knicks loss?
It might have been. I don't even know.
Yeah.
All
Either
the
way,
losses run together now.
there's been a few wins since we last chatted.
Yep.
I yeah, just your final thoughts on yeah where this team is at 3-6.
I'm encouraged. I mean, we talked after the first few losses, and it was definitely doom and gloom. But at the same time, it's like they're doing things that look good and they're making progress. And I still feel the same way. Again, you're a 0.3 second tip away from being one game under 500 at this point and winning 4 of the last 5. Um, Again, it shouldn't have necessarily been this close. But though, I mean, LaMelo got unconscious in the fourth. Duran goes out. Like, both of those things you don't really plan for. I think they're in a good spot. Every day that goes by, you realize how bad the last coach was.
That's
Um,
yeah.
you realize how strategic and good all the Langdon moves have been. Like all of them are panning out. I know, like we've talked about, Tobias has been a little disappointing, but ultimately he's still doing his job. You just need two extra open threes a game to go in. Um, they're in a good spot. I hope Ivy isn't really hurt. I mean, I know he got a knee in the shin. That's probably a little contusion. Hopefully, he doesn't miss any time or isn't limited. You know, Beasley and Tim Hardaway Jr. look like great additions. It sort of switches off though, whose night it is, and the other one shoots like 2 for 8. But I think they're in a good spot. They're going in a good spot. JB, I think, has been great for the most part. Rotations, absolutely love him. The fact that he's staggering Cade and Ivy and full committing to it and doing a pretty good job of like getting Cade a break in the fourth quarter, even though we talked about like maybe an extra minute or two. They're probably assessing that and figuring that out together, like why Cade is gassed and how to prevent that in the fourth quarter. Um, it's we're gonna be okay. We're in a good spot, and the brutal start of the schedule is pretty much over. And that was like we knew it was like there was a chance at starting 0-6. Like when the schedule got released, we're like, we didn't improve enough to to feel confident that we're gonna win some games here. And they looked better than I thought they would have, anyways. But I'm not worried. I think it's coming together. Bummer of a loss tonight.
Yeah, I think what I really like what you said there is kind of Trajan's vision with this team. Like, yes, Tobias could be playing better,
Yeah,
mainly just shooting from three.
and I think
Yes,
he
we would.
will.
Yeah, and I think he will. But like, I think Trajan's vision is kind of to give Cade Cunningham and these other younger guys a chance to win every single night. But
Hmm.
the roster still has plenty of room for improvement. Therefore, you can still lose some games. You
Yep.
can have some upsets, but I ultimately think this is kind of tracking probably exactly to plan for him. Like Pistons
Yeah.
now 3-6, you're back probably down around like 11th or 12th in the East, maybe 13th. Like, so I know like tonight sucks, and like obviously
Yeah.
Trajan would
Big
want them
time.
to win for morale and all that kind of thing. But I just think I really like how you brought that up, just like as an overview. Like I
Yeah.
think this is going how we thought, and it's I know tonight sucks, but it's like you just beat the Lakers, who look pretty decent.
Yeah.
Like, and Cade closed the deal in that game, I thought,
Right. Right.
with his
And Ivy.
playmaking. Exactly. Your two young stars. So, like, tonight sucks.
Yep.
I was you and like I was absolutely devastated. I sat here for 5 minutes just staring. Like I was like, this sucks,
Yeah.
but I like how you've rounded it out here.
Yeah. And it really, and last thought here is like, maybe I'm getting ahead of myself, but I think they've looked better than I thought they would. I mean, of the 6 losses, I think 4 were very legitimately in play to be wins. Um, and I think it's something where, like you said, the roster still clearly needs a little bit of work. I'm very curious if this trajectory continues in the next month or two. What happens, after that December 15th date where, free agents are able to be traded, if that's the same date as it always is, and the trade deadline. Like, it'll be interesting because there's some very clear things that the Pistons can and probably should upgrade. They got good vets now. They have an abundance of young talent. I'm very intrigued to see what happens if this trajectory continues in terms of
I agree.
trades.
I agree. I feel like Trajan will want to try and get some more picks somehow,
Yeah,
but maybe he'll look to fill some gaps on the roster. Like, there's obviously backup point guard, the center position. Like, whilst the conversations died down a little bit the past few games, like Duran's now injured, so yeah, it's gonna be
right.
very interesting.
Yeah.
But that's gonna do it for today, my friend.
All right.
Been a pleasure as usual. Tell the people they can find you if they, for some reason, don't know where you are. But
Just Twitter at Pistons thoughts, and I will be on after a win one day.
yeah, well, that's gonna happen for
We
sure.
might not. Maybe we should stop scheduling these, and then I'll just pop on when we win.
Just pop
Because
on, yeah, maybe.
0 for 3, 0 for 3 so far.
Oh man, thank you so much for joining me. I'll
For
try to
sure.
get you back on ASAP whenever you're free, and hopefully we're
Sounds
chatting
good.
about a win.
Let's do it.
Appreciate you.
All right, man.
All right, man. See
See
ya.
ya.
Just before I pull up Blake, I'm just going to quickly go through some comments here because I appreciate you all chiming in here. Would you trade Cade for LaMelo? I would not. I do like. I know LaMelo won tonight, but I think Cade gives you so much more on the defensive end and just as a franchise guy. But I can see why you're saying that. Yeah, Sean. Oh wow. I hope you weren't in the building. That would sting. That would sting. Uh Yeah, that was me. Heartbreak. I feel you, Alan. Cade started 89, finished 9 of 23. Yeah, it was a. I really liked his decision making as a playmaker, even in the fourth. But when you don't score in the fourth, I can't defend that. He needs to be better. Uh, all right, there's some more here, but I'll get to those after we've had Blake up. Blake, what's going on, my man? Thank you for waiting. Yeah, talk us through the emotions.
Oh no, Jack, thanks for having me up again. I think I think I've only been on after losses as well, so we might just be the bad luck guys, but we'll change that one day. I mean, yeah, heartbreaker, like that comment mentioned, that it just sucked because I felt like the Pistons were in control for pretty much the whole game, but they couldn't really ever create any separation, and it came back to bite them. I mean, the last play, yeah, there should have been better boxing out. There probably should have been different personnel on the floor, but those things happen. I just thought it was a honest mistake. It was, but again, just heartbreaker. But even though that's the highlight, I felt like there were other things that you can look to where, okay, you could have got out a little bit more, and obviously LaMelo went unconscious in the fourth, which hurt as well. And Charlotte started to pressure Cade a lot more, which gave him fits, but he also made some good plays facilitating as well. So overall, really, really tough loss. But after you get over that emotion, it was just a heck of a game too. Like it was nice. It was fun watching it, even though
Yeah.
the outcome was just like, oh man, come on.
No, I actually really like that perspective because you're right. Like, I think Jordan was kind of saying it there towards the end as well. Like this sucks. Like it stings, but you're right. Once the emotion kind of settles, like after that initial shock, it's kind of like at least like I can envision that many Hornets games in Charlotte where the Pistons just go there and Terry Rozier drops 10 threes. Kelly Oubre, they lose by 20. It's over in the third. Like, and not just the Hornets specifically, but they've been in every game, I feel like, except for the Knicks,
Yeah.
and could have won. You know, what if they're 3-6 now? They could easily be like, what would that be? 5-4, 4-5. Like, it hurts that they're 3-6, but it was like when you say heck of a game, like I was frustrated watching it, but I think they were in control, and that's why I was frustrated because I was like, it
Hmm.
just felt like it was constantly around 6 points, and I was like, if you can get this to double digits, I'm feeling good. And like you look at the leads here, biggest lead, Detroit got up by 9 in the second. Charlotte's biggest lead was only 6. So
Yeah.
it was just like a back and forth game.
Yeah, and I'm sure I'd have to look up those like win probability charts on ESPN. I'd have to look it up because I feel like it didn't get high for either team throughout the pretty much the whole game. Like no, for neither team to have a lead more than double digits, that says something. I mean, probably the biggest thing is like the Pistons need to find ways to create that separation because they were definitely in control of this game. They should have won it. They just didn't. In the long run, does it really matter? Probably not, but you can look back to games like this and be like, what could we have done differently, both the players and the coaching staff, to put us in a better position? It stings because it should have been a win. Like they had this game in their hands, but hopefully there's lessons you can take from it to not find yourself in these situations. This one specifically, though, I think it's tough because it was just bang bang play the last second. Malik Beasley, obviously not known for his defense, and I think he just made kind of a mistake getting like losing Brandon Miller, not really knowing where he is, but hopefully that either it's a coaching change, a substitution, or just like being more aware in those settings. But when things happen so quick, I feel like mistakes are bound to come up every now and then.
Yeah, it's yeah, I think that's well summarized. Like on one hand, it's like Beasley like should have boxed out, but that losing like that, I just feel like is unfortunately Brian brings it up here. That's like our 11th time losing on the buzzer beater in the last 2.5 years. I feel like that's at least the second or third, but yeah, it's such a bang bang play. There's so much happening. Like it's just that's the margin sometimes, and it sucks. But I don't know, Blake. What are your thoughts on Cade? Because I kind of just to wrap it up. Then you would have been listening, but I was just saying like it's easy to forget. Only 2 days ago against the Lakers, I thought he closed the deal like triple double, made the right play, scored in the clutch against the Lakers, and then tonight doesn't score in the fourth. I don't know how you feeling about his fourth quarters overall.
Yeah, I mean, you definitely when Cade is your guy, like kind of what we saw from LaMelo, you need him to find ways to make things happen. And I thought he did that on making plays for his teammates, finding open looks. It's just you have to find ways to score as well. Like that's what those franchise guys do. We've seen it before from Cade pretty recently, but I honestly, and I'm not trying to make excuses, but I thought it was more of like how he was being pressured and all the attention that he was getting. And that opened up some clean looks for other team members, like those 2 threes that Tim Hardaway made in the fourth quarter. So Cade definitely needs to find ways to score in the fourth. Like I think he just had 2 shots and didn't score in the fourth quarter. So that needs to change for sure, but I'm not coming away from this game being like, "Oh man, like this is all on Cade or anything." He needed to find buckets for sure, but I can't like single him out and be like, "You needed to do more." Because I mean, he had a triple double, he had that hot first quarter, and definitely cooled off. But I think that was a lot due to the way he was being defended, and you got to find ways around that. But it was just tough tonight.
Yeah. No, I agree. I agree. It's like he was getting so much attention and pressure. And I've already said it, but like you said, he made the right reads, I thought, but sometimes like he did miss like a pretty straightforward left-handed layup. Like there was a bit of traffic. That
He
was
only had
like,
2 turnovers, and I think only
yeah,
one was his fault. It was like,
yeah,
the one that wasn't his fault was like a lob to Paul Reed that maybe
yeah,
he just put a little too much on. Like Paul
yeah,
Reed maybe should have caught it.
yeah. No, you're right. There was that one, yeah, towards the end of the game, which was probably on him. But yeah, he like it's tough because I feel like if the Pistons win, we're not really talking about it. But
Yeah.
I don't know. This is just a really hard game to assess in the sense of like I think no one wants moral victories, and I don't think we're even
Mhm.
saying it's a moral victory. I think this is more just like growing pains. This sucks, but um, yeah, I I don't know. I just thought I haven't actually really spoken about Jaden Ivey tonight. I thought he was pretty solid. Um, I'm not sure exactly. Do you have the stats there? What do you think?
Yeah, 21 points, 5 assists, 4 boards, a block, 3 turnovers, 8 for 16 from the field, and 3 for 5 from 3. I mean, honestly, you have to be so encouraged with Jaden
Yeah,
Ivey's 3-point shooting. Like
yeah,
it seems night and day, and a ton of that I'm sure is confidence with the new coaching staff and the work he's done over the summer. But he's he's kind of turning into a floor spacer himself for the Pistons, in addition to everyone else they brought in over the offseason.
yeah. Absolutely. No, like there's so many. Like I'm starting to just have this confidence as a fan now that he's going to just knock them down.
Yeah.
Like I'm starting to be more surprised now that when he misses, and I think
Hmm.
3 or 5. I think he hit a really key one. Maybe it was the end of the third quarter, um, which might have been his third. But if anything, you'd like to see him get some more up, like maybe closer to 8 attempts instead of 5 when you're shooting it like that. But I thought he was pretty solid tonight. There was a couple of possessions in the first half where I thought he was trying to do too much, but um, I hope the injury is not too serious. He obviously
Yeah.
finished the game, but I feel like sometimes once the adrenaline's gone, maybe they can miss
Mhm.
some time. But I thought he was awesome.
Yeah, for sure. And like what you said about having that confidence when you're watching that he's gonna knock down those shots, like that's why I was excited about the Malik Beasley and THJ acquisitions. I mean, you can talk about like THJ is probably making too much money, but it seems like it was a good move for the Pistons right now. But I just feel like in the past, other than like Bojan, you didn't really have those guys that when they got an open look, they would knock it down. And I mean, you have Fontecchio too. Weird start to the season. I thought he looked okay tonight. He didn't do a ton, but he had a nice like 5 point in a row stretch. But if Jaden Ivey is turning into one of those guys as well that you're confident can knock down those shots, like that's a game changer for this team, not just now, but in the future.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, like you said, 3 or 5 tonight. I think he'd be over 40% on the season for sure. Like that's real floor spacing. And I honestly didn't expect that from him this season. And maybe it will level out a bit, but I don't think on those certain hot streaks that he's gone on in his first 2 seasons, I don't think any of them have lasted for 9 games. Like I feel like this is actually it's probably going to level out to like high 30s, maybe just 40, but like that's for a guy with his first step, like that's pretty insane to add in one off season.
Yeah, he's shooting 41% from three on 5 attempts a game
Pretty crazy.
through this many games, which is awesome. And what stood out to me through at least the first few games for Ivy is just like his bag, honestly, when he gets near the rim, like he goes up and he can contort his body in a way that I feel like not many players can and find a crafty finish. And now like looking at these last 4 or 5 games, it's really the shot that's jumping out too. So I think there are at least and he's competed more on defense. So like I feel like there's a lot of positive signs that you can take from Ivy specifically, which if he can sustain this, which I don't really see any reason he can't. Like the Pistons have some big decisions to make this summer. Maybe they can kick the can a little bit, but Duran and Ivy are eligible for an extension. And if this continues for Ivy, like you kind of got to pay him. And I don't
Well,
think
that's
anyone's mad at that.
not to get too ahead of like ourselves. Like it's been 9 games. He needs to do like show this a lot more. But is the Jaden Ivey at the end of year 3 that's, right around 40% from 3, pretty much 20 to 22 points a night, 4 rebounds, 5 assists, like but beyond the stats, like just from watching him, like surely you're extending this guy.
Yeah, for sure. And I think like the interesting you have to, I
Yeah,
think, if this is what he's doing, the interesting thing to me would be what like how much it is. Like I don't know if it's like I feel like it wouldn't be a max, but I feel like you
yeah,
have to give him a pretty considerable extension. Like I think it would be much more than what the type of deal that Isaiah Stewart got. I was trying to
yeah.
look up like what the Rockets gave Sengun this summer because it was 5 years,
Okay.
185 million. I don't think that's the max because Cade got more, but
Yeah.
yeah, I think like you
Yeah, I
have
think
you have
YouTube
to.
user so Jalen Green, I think
That's
what
what
did
I
he
was
get?
thinking about
Was it
too.
like 3 for 90 or something? Or 3 for
Yep.
100?
Yeah, and it was like I believe he has a there's a team option. There's some sort of option on the 3rd year. So it was kind of like a prove it extension after
Yeah.
like 2 years. 3 years for 106. So yeah, maybe that's like a good comp, honestly.
Yeah. It's I mean, the only reason like I think you extend him, like I just know there's like a lot of fair conversation around like and I guess the Pistons are the one franchise in history that's had so much success with like a really good backcourt, but I still think some people question like how far can you really go with 2 guards like Cade and Ivy who haven't shown the consistency defensively yet. Although I think Cade's gotten better this season, but I think even with that, even if there is some argument there, I think you have to extend him.
Yeah, and I just quickly looked up. I think another good one would be Jalen Suggs. He got 5 years for 150, so that's around like 30 a year. So if you are super bought in that Cade and Ivy are your backcourt in the future, I think like that's both team friendly because he's under control for that long, but it's also just like a bet and securing Ivy. Like it's a good deal for Ivy too. So we'll see. Not to get too ahead of it, but that's just something that's interesting to me.
Because I think a lot like from where we were at the end of last season to where we are just this early in this season, like I think it's a fair conversation because like I was very high on Jaden Ivey in year 2. What happened, but I think regardless of the Monty thing, I was really disappointed with the way Jaden closed last season, especially when Cade was out, like for those last like 8 to 10 games. Like I just felt like he just maybe I'm not saying he checked out, but he just didn't really look like it. I can't believe this is the same player. Like, so I think it's fair to be like, if he can keep this up, like, what's the extension look like? Because yeah, I'm not gonna lie. Over the off season, like I was like starting to question can Ivy and Cade play
Me
together,
too.
and it's not because like Ivy sucks or is a bust. Obviously, it's just more like can they like two ball dominant? Like how can they go on the court together? But I think they've looked really good, and like you mentioned, the 3-point shooting, like he's becoming a real floor spacer.
Yeah, exactly. The thing that stinks about it is I feel like last year is just like Cade's year 2 was muddied with the injury, and I feel like Ivy's was because of the context and like you mentioned about cooling off toward the end of the season. Like, I mean, vibes weren't good, so it's almost like you obviously got something out of last year, but overall you didn't get any sense of like, okay, Jaden Ivey and Cade Cunningham are your backcourt of the future. And like that's what like it looks like they could be that now. And that's what you like a question you have to ask yourself at the end of the season.
Absolutely. And just to add on to that, this is just feeds into the Pistons' lack of luck. A lot of their poor seasons have come from self-harm with like GM moves and that kind of thing. But, you know, Asar Thompson now is feeling like he's not going to play in his second year. So like, it's like, you still like for Trajan, it's like, how do I evaluate like can Duren, Thompson, Ivy, Cade work? Like I know you have Holland who's similar and you can see that, but it's like, yeah, that's another conversation. But I want to just go through some comments here while I've got you, Blake, and we'll just react to some of them. In the long run, it's better we lose this. We still need one more shot at a high draft pick. Now, Blake, I'm not sure how much scouting you've done, but I know in previous draft classes over at Detroit Bad Boys, you've done a heap of pieces on draft prospects. You know what? Like the second part of this comment, like I tend to believe the Pistons still do need, I'm just going to say Cooper Flag, but they need their 1A, 1B guy still. Even with how good Jaden Ivey's looked, I just think they need someone, else.
Yeah. I mean, I've actually done a decent bit of scouting on a number of the international players just because they were playing over the summer and with the college season that just started off. Like I've watched some of their before college stuff and I haven't really watched many college games yet. So, but like if you can luck out and win the lottery, like Cooper Flag is huge for any team. And the big thing for the Pistons with that is just he's an insane defensive prospect. I mean, he's a star. He's probably the most hyped college prospect since Zion. So that's insane too. But there's a ton of other like worst case scenario and the Pistons finish with like the best odds in the lottery. I mean, I guess maybe that's good if you're losing and not going to be in the playoffs and they fall to 5 again. Like they're going to have a good player to select. The interesting thing is who is it going to be? Like to me, I think they need what's glaring to me right now, and Jalen Duren's future, it is a question. I mean, we could go on for however long about his contract situation,
Yeah.
but there's a couple centers. We'll see how they do, but I don't know if you use a top 5 pick on one of these centers that's available, but that's like that's what I would want if I'm the Pistons, but there's probably better talent available if you're in that top 5. So it's interesting. I think you just got to hope you win the lottery and
Yeah.
get Cooper Flag.
I think what the Pistons lack is, and I think this is what Tobias is meant to be, but he's not going to be here long term, but he's scoring from the front court. Like someone, they don't need to be Paul George or someone who can get their own shot, but just like a consistent source of offense, especially if you're going to lock in to Jaden Ivey and Kay Cunningham, which it feels like they should. Like they need someone either like Cooper Flag, who obviously can play like 4 or 5, is almost a wing, like just someone who can give you consistent offense there. Because I just feel like Tobias is kind of doing it, but it's just so much has to come from their 2 guards. It's just a lot for them. But I guess just on this, like, where are you at with the Pistons core? So that's just their past 5. You know who I'm talking about. Holland,
Yeah.
Sar, Ivy, Duran, Cade.
Yeah,
Those
the young
5.
guys. The young
Yeah,
guys. Yeah, I mean, I think I feel better than I did coming into the season. I mean, I feel like that's a pretty obvious statement, but like I was having the same questions as you with Caden Ivy, which is funny because when the Jaden Ivy draft, it was like, yeah, these two make perfect sense together. Like they're the perfect complement to each other's game. Like Jaden Ivy doesn't need to play on ball all the time, but just because of everything that went down and we didn't see much of them playing together in Ivy's rookie year because of Cade's injury and the weirdness of last year. Like I think those two are the biggest thing you can take away from these first 9 games. And Ron Holland has shown flashes. He looked good tonight. Even the 3-point shot looked good. Duren, you know, all the good stuff he does on like offense and the good rebounder. Defense is still a question mark, obviously. And then Asar too. Like I still feel good about Asar, but when you have all these guys in your system, like they're coming to a point as soon as this summer where you're gonna have to make some hard decisions. And I don't think you're anywhere near having your answer for that. You shouldn't be right now. But I think if you can take anything, it's like Cade and Ivy seems like they could be your backcourt of the future.
yeah. Yeah, no, I think for me, like it's Cade and Ivy, tier of their own. Asar's only not in that tier because I just haven't seen enough of him in the health scare. So I have him and Ron together, and then Duran for me. Like I've liked what I've seen the past couple of games, and I'm not trying. Like I know he's just rolled his ankle, but I just think if you're just looking at it based on positional value and output, like I know Ron's barely played, but he's just 6'7" wing, pretty decent athleticism. He figures out the shot. Like
He has more upside, and it's not
absolutely, yeah.
like any fault of
So
Jalen Duren. It's just like a
yeah,
position thing, and Ron is he's only
yeah.
played 9 games.
And due to just the shooting deficiencies of those 2 wings of Asar and Ron, like I just think it's hard to. I just can't see them locking up Duran for like a huge salary, but maybe, yeah. I guess we'll see what happens there. I'm just gonna get through a couple more questions here. Like this one. Tonight was win playing average type of game. Unfortunate not to get it. Yeah, I'm with you. Like that game was just like a grind that I feel like good teams win. Teams like the Pistons trying to figure it out, you lose it. Have we spoken about thoughts on running the last possession with no bigs? I spoke about it with Jordan, but you kind
I
of touched
don't
on it a bit.
I don't think we did. I don't know. I thought tonight was so weird, obviously with Duren going down and putting like some minutes toward Paul Reed, which I mean, I thought he had a rough first half, but then he looked pretty good in the second and did a bunch of good stuff. It's just pretty glaring to me that this team needs some more size, and it's difficult because if you just bring in a 7-footer, like, where are they getting minutes? But I think it could be for situations like this. And I think all the bigs on this roster have their own, like, good things they bring to the table to different situations. I just think almost as a, like, to use a baseball reference, like, they almost need a off speed pitch to be able to go to when they need to, just to add a little bit more rim protection. And I mean, Stu does great things on defense, but he's not like it just, like, the size isn't there. So uh, I think it's just an area of the roster the team can improve. Like, maybe they don't need to right now, but a game like tonight, I was like, yeah, I wish they just had someone else they could go to for a few minutes.
Yeah. No, the lack of size. I just didn't anticipate it being an issue this season, but it feels like in every loss, it's something we've all spoken about a lot. What else have we got here? A lot of stuff on Cade. uh, I guess, Blake, I've got Cody coming up in a minute. Where do you want to? What are your final thoughts? I think, yeah, on tonight and just overall.
Yeah, I mean, on tonight, I mean, I think it just stings that you weren't able to pull this one out. You had it in your hands. You should have won the game, but I just think you can, if you're going to take lessons from it, it has to be, how are you going to create that situation? At some points it was the pressure that Cade was seeing, but it was also like other guys not knocking down shots, and also LaMelo going crazy as well. So it was just a tough one overall, and especially how it ended. Like, there's no other way to put it other than it was a heartbreaker. But overall, at least it was another game that they were competing in. If they came out and got blown out, I would have been more concerned. But yeah, it just stings. But I feel solid overall in terms of, like, how they're coming out each night, other than that game against the Knicks, which I hope was just a blip on the map. But overall, I thought things are solid. Cade needs to figure out ways to score in the fourth quarter and down the stretch, but you have some winnable games coming up too. So just go out and go back to it. Like, I want to see them get out on a 3-game winning streak. I think it's been a couple years since they've done that. So hopefully they can rattle one off at some point. But yeah, it's nice that tough stretch of the schedule is behind them, at least for now. And yeah, we'll see how they come out on Friday against Atlanta, I believe. Like,
Atlanta, yeah.
hopefully you can get that
But
one.
they're still. I think last season they went 0-4, and I think it's called. Is it NBA Cup now? What?
Yeah.
Yeah. So this is their first NBA Cup
Oh,
game.
okay.
So Atlanta at home. Uh, I have this down as a must win. I did before tonight, even before the Lakers game. Like, I just think you have to win this game. I don't know why. I just feel like the Hornets on the road. I know they're depleted, but it's on the road. I just feel like Atlanta, you have to win. And then Houston is similar to the Lakers. Hopefully, you can go in with some good momentum and upset them.
Oh man, yeah, and Atlanta beat the Knicks tonight. So hopefully that's it's a little bit of a letdown spot for them. But yeah,
Yeah.
like, I think something we haven't seen, and I mean, Lord knows how many years, is just this team has lost games to teams they definitely shouldn't lose to, and a ton of situations where they shouldn't lose. The other side of that is they win games where we don't see it coming at all. But I think a big step they can take this year is winning those winnable games more often than not. Tonight against Charlotte, definitely one where that it shouldn't happen. Came down to the last second, total heartbreaker. But hopefully you don't let that slog you down, because yeah, you got to beat teams that you should.
Absolutely, man. Well, been a pleasure having you on. We'll get you on here one day after a win.
Oh, for sure, for sure. We'll
uh,
we'll plan better.
Tell the people where they can find you, what you've got coming up, all the good stuff you're doing.
Yeah, check out DetroitBadBoys.com. All the good stuff everyone is putting up over there. And join us for the pin down. It's me and West Davenport. We're recording, I believe, on Saturday this week, so it'll be after that Atlanta game. So yeah, we'll be live on YouTube on the Detroit Bad Boys YouTube channel. So yeah, check us out. And Jack, I appreciate it as always.
Of course, my friend. Well, have a good night, and don't think about the Pistons. We'll talk soon.
Sounds good. Take care.
All right, man. See you later. Okay, I'm going to bring Cody up in 1 second. I just wanted to bring this one comment up because I couldn't agree more with you. Just Football Academy Australia. I felt like this game we had opportunities to get to double-digit leads and wouldn't, almost like they wanted it to come easy. I truly, I think that's what I found so frustrating about this entire game was felt like the Pistons just thought it was going to happen and that they didn't have the full effort there for 4 quarters. Cody, my man, it's been a minute. Disappointing night. Far away.
Trash. Pathetic.
We needed this, I think. I've been a bit level-headed.
Yeah, I was gonna say I've been listening and nothing against Justin or Blake, but not enough getting on these guys after that.
Yeah.
Like that is a game where you came out slow. Like effort was terrible. I don't know.
Yeah.
The first half was awful. You're still in a position to win at the end of the game, and you don't do the one thing you need to do after the Hornets gift you a chance to win the game. The Pistons, yeah, they should have won this game. They shouldn't have won this game. Like,
Yeah.
Teams don't turn it over. Like, it's very, very rare where you see a team give the ball away with less than 20 seconds left in a game and then give up a layup on the other end to go down. That's something that, unfortunately, for Pistons, only other bad teams do. That's something the Pistons do because we're bad, and teams like the Hornets, who are also bad, do. You're playing the Suns, Boston, all these other teams that are really good. They're not doing that. You're not even getting an opportunity. And then you just don't box out and lose. Like,
Yeah.
it's. I got tweeted it, and it's like this is another one of those losses where it just makes me believe like the team's never getting over the hump. They just you get gifted an opportunity to go to 4-5 back home to even your record up against Atlanta, be 5-5 after 10, a grueling 10-game start, and now there's a very real possibility you're 3-7 after Friday. It's like that's just the like everybody thinks, oh, the NBA is such a long season, the NBA is such a long season. 10 games in, that's literally an eighth of your season done. Right there. Like that's a whole eighth of your season gone. Were you an opportunity to be arguably even better than 500 and you could be 3-7? It's just same old Pistons, man. Same old Pistons.
No, that tonight that was it was. Look, I thought first 4 minutes they were okay, but it was really just Cade kind of getting to the paint. They didn't have anyone to protect the rim, so then they kind of fixed that up in the second half. But yeah, it was like the effort for me was so frustrating because I was just watching that game, I didn't have much joy at all. Like it was a grind, and it felt like it was constantly just 5 to 6 points, 5 to 6 points. Who's going to pull away? And then obviously LaMelo comes through in the fourth, drops 15. And then, like you said, like I actually don't think the Pistons should have won this. Like you do not get that opportunity that they kind of created there with the turnover. And then I don't like Ron finishing that shocked me completely. I thought there was going to be a turnover. He would have missed a shot. He makes it. So it's like you're high. We're all up here. And then to lose like that, which is something that's happened before, it's heartbreaking. But thoughts on Cade and his fourth quarters?
Yeah,
So
I mean, it must be nice watching your star player actually play well in the clutch. And I'm obviously they're not even in a position to win that game without Cade. Goes without saying. But like you can say that about literally any star player depending on the night they have. If Anthony Edwards comes out and goes 4 of 20 from the field, the Timberwolves are losing that game. Like it's just any star player in the NBA, you can say, oh, they wouldn't have been in that position without him. Yeah, no duh. They're a max player. Like that this isn't football, you know? where there's 10 other guys that affect every play. It's the NBA. Like you have to have guys who can take over in the fourth quarter. The only reason Charlotte won is because LaMelo went crazy.
Yeah.
If LaMelo has the same fourth quarter as the first three, they're not even in the game. Pistons win that by 6 or 8, going away, but that's what the best players in the NBA do. They find a way to will their team to victory when their team doesn't play particularly well. Or, quite frankly, like Cade tonight, again, there's way more blame to go around than just Cade, but he was 1 of 12 in the second half with 4 points.
Yeah.
Like you can't go 1 of 12 in the second half with 4 points, have a disgusting turnover with under 4 minutes left, where you jump in the air you're up in the air at almost the 3-point line. Like, what are you doing jumping in the air at the 3-point line? And you pass it right to I forget who it was, Miles Bridges, whoever it was, but
yeah,
they got an easy break. You can't have those plays. And I know what you were saying earlier, like it's Cade. He hasn't played it all. Like he hasn't played all 82 every year. He's had a lot of stretches, but it's like, dude, this is a guy you put the keys to your franchise in. This is the guy that's supposed to help you over the top in these games. And let's be honest, in the 3 games where I really thought they had a chance to win down the stretch, the Pacers, the Celtics, in this game, disappeared. No show. He did nothing. So
yeah,
it's like,
no, I agree. I think it's only thing I would say to that is I just thought against the Lakers when they were really pushing, he kind of made the right decisions and really helped ice that game. But they obviously had that bigger lead. It's a bit of a different
but that
situation.
Lakers game should have never got closer by 20 in
But
the third quarter.
it still did get within like 4 points with a few minutes left. So it's for me like, yeah, I can't. I feel what I get you. Like it's frustrating. Sometimes like I question like just I don't know if it's motor or what with K, but sometimes he's just too passive and he's just very happy to back you down and draw the double and kick it out, which is the right thing to do. But sometimes like I don't know. I just feel like sometimes he just doesn't create enough space when he needs to. He's very happy to just settle withdrawing the second, kicking it out, and just I don't know. I don't know. It is frustrating though because like you said, there's been 4 games now, and that 1 out of 12 in the second half. Like we can talk about the last 5 minutes, but you need a lot more.
Yeah, and I mean, like we talked about this on another stream. I forget which. Maybe it was after the Celtics game when, like, teams in the regular season they don't ratchet up their intensity defensively until the fourth quarter in close. They just don't. It's too long of a season. It's too long of a grind. All these players are playing a bunch of minutes. I see that excuse going on after Cade. Like Cade's playing a career high in minutes. Like, dude, he's not the only superstar playing a million minutes a night. Like every one of these guys do it. That's why they're paid 40, 50, 60 million dollars a year, because they have to put the franchise. It's like we're not the Celtics where we have 10 guys who you can go to on any given night, like when Tatum and Brown aren't playing. And that's a luxury for them. But guess what? Like I guess like it sounds so cliche or just like melodramatic. Like get over it. Like you're Cade Cunningham. You are going to be the reason why this team wins 30 games, 35 games, or why this team only wins 20. Like ultimately, you're going to be the reason. And there's way more people that I have blame on tonight than just Cade. But like ultimately, at the end of the day, you're the one that's making all the money. You're the one that was drafted number 1 overall. You're the one who people think people not just in the Pistons community can be all NBA. Like at some point you have to show it when it matters and not just, hey, I had a really great first half. I had 16 points. Look at me.
Yeah.
And then like doing the gif of the black guy who just goes and he just disappears in the second half. Like I can't do it anymore with the Cade apology. Like I love Cade just as much as anybody, but I can't do it with the Cade apology.
No, this season for him is it's time. Like you've signed the extension. I know the money hasn't kicked in, but you've signed the extension. Yeah, the team is good enough for you to win 30 games. Like it's time to show it. So yeah, I'm with you on the Cade apologist. I think I've been more critical of him. I probably could be more critical. I think just tonight, like I thought he was really good against the Lakers, and then tonight's a huge letdown. But in the second half, who are those other players that you're referencing in terms of blame? Because I can think of two.
Well, we talk about it all the time. The vets need 2 or 3 of them to show up every game.
Yeah.
Tonight, only one did. Tobias, awful. Malik Beasley, awful.
Yeah.
No shows, horrible.
Yeah.
Tobias is not scoring unless it's an 18-foot jumper or a wide open dunker layup.
Yeah.
He cannot hit a contested shot. He can hit a wide open 3. I don't know if he has the yips. I don't know what it is with that corner 3. That statistically in his career, he's been very much league average or better most of his career on. He just can't hit one. And then Malik Beasley, I mean, 1 of 12 tonight.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like 1 of 12. And then, of course, you don't box out in the last possession.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, I would have been fine with Malik's game. And again, maybe we can talk about this. Maybe not his fault that he was out there, because I don't think that lineup was the right lineup to have with 6 seconds left. I don't know why you don't have Cade out there. Even with 5 fouls, you're only up 1. If you're playing for overtime, there you're playing for the wrong thing.
Yeah.
Because what are you going to do? What are you going to get fouled and then they'll make 1 out of 2 when they haven't missed a free throw all game? Anyway, no, like Tobias needs to be better.
Yeah.
And I think it's pretty glaring in some of these losses, like how much he means to this team and how vital he is. Because when he doesn't show up, they just don't have enough other options, especially when you have Malik Beasley just, building houses out there.
No, I agree. I think you nailed, like, Tobias, your point there is you nailed it. I think the thing with me for Beasley is I actually don't care if he's 1 of 10, but what I am so sick of is him dribble, coming off pick and rolls and taking pull-up threes. Like, that is not your game. I have not seen him hit 1. Like, I don't care if you're taking maybe 1 or 2 dribble in mid-range, but the amount of times I'm seeing him, it's when Cade's off the floor and it's just Ivy and Beasley in the backcourt, and Ivy's standing over there and Beasley's like getting a handoff, or they're running a pick and roll. And I'm just like, I have not seen him hit 1. I'm just like, can we just get it back to JI? Maybe that's on JB to like get Ivy involved more. I don't know. But like Beasley's just handling the ball way too much for me. And maybe it's not totally fair to put that on him because they don't have a true backup point guard, but Ivy's still there. And it's just like every time he's shooting those shots, I'm just like, this is such a waste, particularly when they're early in the shot clock. But I think it's fair to put most of the blame on Tobias because Beasley, that's kind of what you get. And I was just saying it to Blake, like, I think this roster just desperately, it just has no scoring in the front court. And that's what Tobias is brought here to do and be a veteran, obviously. But like, that's just, there's no consistent scoring there. And Tobias, I think he's shooting like 15% from 3 now. And I don't think he's hit a corner 3, like missed another 4 or 5 tonight. Like it's brutal. And like, you're right. I feel like half his points are coming in transition when he's open. Or it's
I think legitimately him and Ron Holland, after Ron Holland tonight, I think they have the same, like literally the same 3-point shooting percentage, and Ron Holland shot 1 for 16 coming in tonight. Like, just you cannot have a guy that you're paying that much money to, be a complete nothing unless it's easy open dunks or because even all of his ISO post up possessions tonight were a waste. Yeah. Dribble into Grant Williams, turn around, brick. Like it just, it's all wasted. It's all wasted stuff. It's like, it's not even like it's helping the offense when, like a Cade does it and he can dribble. Maybe he gets to the rim, maybe he doesn't, but he makes the right pass. Like Tobias just dribbles the ball into the ground, tries to dribble the air out of the ball, and then there's a terrible turnaround. It's like he's not helping this team offensively at all, really. Even his games where he scored, 18, 20 points, or I think he scored 18 a couple times. It's been fast breaks, dunks, easy layups, something that most guys paid a third of what he's getting paid can do.
Yeah, no, I think the only game I've really felt where he actually put this team, gave them a real shot to win was the third quarter against Brooklyn, but he had a good first quarter against the Lakers. But yeah, I didn't think we'd be 9 games into the season and this would be the Tobias Harris we have. Like, I think it's kind of like the shot can't be this bad from 3. It just can't. Like it has to come around.
Yeah, I know. We keep saying it after every game. Like they have to start going in, right? But again, we're coming up on game 10. It's like
Yeah.
like you can say a 10-game sample size is very small, but it's an eighth of the season. Like it's not that small.
Yeah.
I get
No,
if it was a 5-game sample size, you're talking about, you know, a very like a 1/16th of the NBA season, and it's like that. It is what it is. Guys have shooting slumps all the time. Ivy's had multiple in his career where he had 5 to 7 game stretches where he couldn't hit anything. It's just not what you pay the guy for. He's the second highest paid player on your roster. You need more out of him. Well, actually, he's the highest paid.
I was gonna say
He
I
hasn't
think-
kicked in yet.
Yeah. No, it's those two were disappointing tonight, and obviously Tobias on the whole season. It's getting to areas like I still think it's too early to say there's a horrible deal on that, but it's definitely trending that way in a way I didn't expect. So he's going to turn it around. I wanted to ask you about the center position just moving forward, particularly if Jalen Duren is out for a couple of games here. Thoughts on Paul Reed, Stu? How can they?
Yeah. I don't think it's that big of a problem, honestly.
Yeah.
Like, especially with the stretch you have coming up, if Jalen Duren's out 2 to 3 weeks. I mean, the stretch you have is still a bunch of winnable games.
Yeah.
I don't think it's that big of a deal. But like, yeah, this is one of those games where you wish you had Jalen Duren out there, because this is a game where he would have gobbled up a bunch of rebounds and a bunch of hopefully offensive boards. And we just didn't get anything on the offensive glass tonight, really. I think there's like 2 or 3, maybe a few more, but for a team that's averaging almost 14 a game, didn't get anywhere close to that. I think the center position will be fine. I thought Paul Reed gave really good minutes. I think he gave really, really good minutes. He was hustling. I think he was one of the main reasons why they got up to that early lead in the fourth quarter. I thought JB might have pulled him a touch too soon, because he really wasn't doing anything wrong. So I think he could have rode Paul for a little bit longer there, but I'm not super duper concerned, about the center position overall, unless the Duren injury is like, 2 months or something, and then we just have to have a bigger conversation about Jalen Duren's ankles.
Yeah.
Because those things get hurt every year.
No, it feels like I'm pretty sure it was this exact time last season. Oh, I think it was like 5 or 6 games in, same sort of thing. I think overall, like I'm a little bit concerned if Paul Reed can be a lob threat a little bit, but I'm a bit concerned about, because I feel like rebounding's been quite a strength for the Pistons, like you mentioned. So you're losing your best rebounder, but I don't think it's a situation like based on what like the fact Duren kept playing for a little bit, like I can't see him being out for more than a week at max.
Yeah, and the lob threat thing I get, but it's not like Duren's been a dominant lob threat this year. I mean, he had a couple stretches against the Lakers where he was really good in the pick and roll for lobs, and a little bit against Brooklyn, but he's been doing most of his work off offensive boards and putbacks.
Yeah.
So, I mean, the lob threat thing, yeah, but I guess it gives Cade one less option, but it's not like that. Duren's been really dominant in that position this whole year so far. So, I don't know. I think it's survivable, but it obviously stinks because like you like this was the first game where I think you were like, damn, we really could have used Duren in a lot of these spots.
No, definitely tonight was set up for him to have one of those like 15 points, 20 rebound games. Like the Hornets were missing their 2 centers, like Grant Williams at the 5, and who else? I didn't even
Taj Gibson.
Taj, like, yeah,
and Musa Diabate. Like,
that's right.
Give me a break, dude. Musa Diabate shouldn't even be on an NBA floor ever.
Yeah, no, the Pistons, kind of like they should have still won without Duren, but yeah. Look, I don't think we've had you on I think last time we checked in, it was after the Knicks game. So that was obviously a brutal game. Can I just quickly ask you, which game was worse, this or the Knicks?
This one.
You think so?
Firmly. Okay. And you know why? Because like this team for me is still not very good.
Yeah.
So like I know there's going to be nights where they come out against a team that's far superior than them, and they just get beat off the floor. What I can't stand anymore is when you're playing a team that arguably you're better than. I don't think if you said to anybody in the NBA sphere, "Oh, I think the Pistons are better than the Hornets," they'd be like, "Dude, no way, that's a crazy take." Like,
Yeah.
I think a lot of people believe that the Pistons should be better than the Hornets. When you come in, I don't care if it's at their place or not. You come to their place, they're missing their arguably their two most potent centers in Mark Williams and Nick Richards, and you still don't find a way to win that game. That it's worse. It's worse for me, and obviously it's even worse losing like that. Like I think if the Ron Holland play never happens, I don't think I'm even close to as disappointed. Like if they don't have that chance, they lose by 3. It's like, okay, yeah, another terrible second half from Cade. Didn't make enough shots down the stretch, whatever. But when you have a chance to steal one like that in the NBA, like you have to do it. You have to do it. So I think this one by far to me is more disappointing than the Knicks game because the Knicks are. I mean I don't think anybody would be shocked if the Knicks were playing the Celtics in the Eastern Conference Finals this year.
Yeah.
Like that's just a much better team.
No, that's fair. I think that's fair. Well, then I was going to go to then. So they're now 3-6. You kind of alluded to it when you like came on and just spoke about how this team sometimes you just feel like they're not going to get over the hump, but like it's still another close game. I know fans don't want to hear that, but it's still a close game. They could have stole it, like you mentioned. 3-6. I think like they can beat Atlanta at home. Like I think that's a must win, and then the Rockets at home 2 days later. If they're 4-7, 5-6, like I think we're still feeling pretty decent.
Yeah, I think the same, but I think that it's just like another one of those games where you're just like,
yeah,
it's just not going to happen for this team, and I don't know if it ever will. I mean, sure they could come in and beat the Hawks on. I certainly didn't think they were going to beat the Lakers. I certainly didn't think they were going to beat the Lakers.
Yeah.
And they tend to play with a little bit more juice at home, it looks like, so far in the early year. Obviously, outside of that one Knicks game where
yeah.
it was over right away, but they tend to play with more juice there. I mean, yeah, I think like you kind of alluded to there, I think every Pistons fan is just sick of the moral victories.
Yeah.
Like, it was close. Like, again, being a fan of this team for going on 22 years now, like, Pistons fans in 2004 would have never, ever been okay with, oh, we lost a close game to the Hornets on the road. There's something to build on here. If Twitter was a thing then, Twitter would burn to the ground. It'd be like, how do we lose the Hornets on the road? How do we lose the Charlotte Bobcats? Like, what are we doing? Like that, and that it goes to show like how far they've fallen when we're constantly just grasping at straws in the air for, oh man, if they just do a few more things, they're close. Like when they were in their heyday, man, I watched every game thinking they were going to win.
Yeah.
Now I watch every game hoping they win, but expecting to lose. It's just such a far cry from when it was so awesome to be a Pistons fan.
Yeah. No, it's yeah. I mean, I kind of just expect them to lose every game at this point.
that's what I'm saying, and that's just the worst. That's the worst place. Like, yes, are there teams like the Bulls where they're just stuck in NBA purgatory forever? They have to tear it down to the studs before they do anything, or they'll make another playing game. But like, at least with the Bulls, you're like, dude, we can win any game. Like, we're not gonna win every game because we're not a good team, but we could win any given game. We have enough players. Like, there are arguably teams I wouldn't rather be a fan of. Like, but that list is very short. Like, it's just devastating, man. Like, I keep fooling myself into thinking, oh, this team's gonna turn the corner. Oh, dude, they're 4-5 after tonight.
Yeah.
And then it's just like, oh, well, we're 3-6, and we're about to be 3-7. Oh no, we play the Rockets on Sunday. We'll be 3-8 before you know it.
Yeah, and that's the constant thing with this team and supporting the Pistons is right now we could be sitting here and they're 4-5 and we're like 3 wins in a row. You're so close to just feeling like they're taking a step because I feel like the Lakers game, that was one of the highest moments I think we've had at least the past 2 years. But you still don't want to fully buy into the fact that they're a new team. But tonight, I feel like 4-5, the record actually starts to reflect a more competitive team. But it's like 1 step forward, 2 steps back. And now we're with the hope that they can beat Atlanta and beat the Rockets and then start to feel like, okay, 5-6 or whatever. But like you said, it could easily be 3-8 in a week's time or whatever. And we're kind of back to where we were at 0-4. I don't know if any of that
Exactly.
makes
You're
sense,
just like, oh,
but
yep.
it's 1 step forward, 2 steps back, 1 step forward, 3 steps back.
Yeah, and that's
Yeah.
the thing. Like I think, and it's just like I hate playing the what if game as a fan because like there's a joke I say, but it's not appropriate for the stream. But like there's some like I'll say the one that this chef from Australia says that I really like. He says if my aunt had wheels, she'd be a bike. Like what ifs don't matter. Nobody cares about what ifs. But if they beat the Celtics and won tonight,
Yeah.
and you're like, wow, dude, this team is 5-4,
Yeah.
and they have a win over the Celtics, they have a win over the Lakers, they have
Yeah.
a 3-game winning streak, and they're 5-4. You're like, man, this could really be a year where they're fighting for a playing spot, and it's just like, and that's the thing, you're talking about what a total of 8 minutes of basketball that have ruined that opportunity. Just
Yeah.
like, yeah, I'm just dejected per usual.
Yeah.
Nothing new here.
No, you're good, man. I think like I think this viewpoint is how you're feeling is how, the majority of the fan base is feeling, just like the game to game, like trying to figure out if this team's making a step in the right direction, feeling like they are, but then the results just don't really reflect it. And then you're kind of left thinking, are they just same old Pistons? Yeah.
I think the one thing we can hang our hat on is that the team does look miles better than the team last year overall. But like that's like saying, oh, I upgraded from my 1987 Chevy Pinto to a 1999 Toyota Corolla. It's like, yeah, it's a better car. It's a nicer car. Less miles, but overall, it's still kind of a POS. So like, it's not it's an upgrade for sure, but it's not like a big win.
Yeah. I know. I feel you, man. Like it's because it's like what we're comparing it to, like last season and even the season before that. Like the bar is like so incredibly low that when you zoom out and you look at other NBA teams, it's like, oh, we are quite a far off. But I don't know, Cody, man. I want to finish on a bit of a positive here. Not that I think we've been negative, sorry. I just think it's been very honest and I appreciate it. The Hawks game. What do you think?
They can win. They can definitely win. The Atlanta Hawks are a horrible defensive team, one of the bottom 3 teams in the league, defensive efficiency wise. They don't have anybody that's really going to kill you with not having Durant, potentially. That you're going to have chances to rebound. Trae Young's having his worst year as a pro so far. But then again, they just beat the Knicks. So, I definitely think they can win. If they play like they did against the Lakers, they should win, arguably. But it's a matter of, what team comes out, and then from there, how do they finish? Because I think, you just look at the season. It's like if they finish games better, this team's got a totally different record. We're jumping up and down in the stream instead of basking in despair. It's just a whole different vibe. So I think they can win, and I'll go as far as to say they will win. I agree with you. I think they will beat the Hawks. What I just hope doesn't happen is kind of like going back to they beat the Sixers, a game we think they should win, and then on Sunday they play the Rockets and get absolutely blown off the floor. Because I don't even care about the Hawks game. I don't like if they beat the Hawks at LCA in the basketball cup, and we want to know, and then get blown off the floor by the Rockets. I don't care. I don't care about the Hawks win.
Yeah.
Like I just like want to see this team play consistently. And I think even though I am mad about tonight, they at least had a shot to win.
Yeah.
They didn't in that Knicks game. I think that you can they can still, I mean, who knows? In a week's time, maybe we're talking about the 6-6 Detroit Pistons. But I'm not gonna hold my breath.
That's the thing, man. It is still so early, and like I feel like there has been plenty of stuff to be positive about, but like you said, like 3-6 just doesn't sound. It just sounds grim. Like need to be within like a couple of games of 500. Like I just
and the thing is, like if you're a good basketball team and you know you're a good basketball team, like if tomorrow the Suns lost their next 4 games, nobody's panicking about the Suns.
Yeah,
like they're 6-5. It's whatever. They can easily go on a 6-game winning streak right after and be back at 12-5, and they're fine. Like the Pistons need to win these games because they're not going to win it. They don't have the star power to go out there and beat NBA teams on a consistent day in day out basis. So yes, there has been plenty of good to take away, and there have been positives, but you just, with a team that's so tight on the margins, you can't lose the games that we've lost so far. Outside of the Knicks game, you have to find a way to steal 2 or 3 of those other 5.
Yeah,
because there's going to be more Knicks games. Like that's my whole thing. There will be more Knicks games this season, so you have to.
I got to watch all of them.
Yeah, I mean, and that's the funny thing. It's like so frustrating for me because, like, obviously I didn't watch the Nets game when they won, and I was sick as a dog during the Lakers game. I only caught the 4th quarter.
You haven't experienced the joy.
They're two best games this season. I caught a quarter of. Like, and it's
there is nothing worse than when you sit down, you've got your whole night to watch the team, or for me, like you've got that whole 3-hour period blocked out to enjoy the Pistons, and you just left feeling numb and despair. It's the same with a lot of like any sport, but just the Pistons in particular, because sometimes it can be hard to get that time blocked out to really watch it. And then when you do, and that's what you get, it's hard not to be so frustrated.
And on Sunday, on Sunday, it wasn't even like I could enjoy it because the Packers lost. So it was like, at least Lions fans were like, "Oh yeah, I missed the Pistons win."
Yeah,
but the Lions beat the Packers in a huge game. Like I didn't even get that. And then during the Lakers game, I'm got the flu, and I'm just like, oh, I get to catch the last 7 minutes. And truly, the last 7 minutes were the only stressful part of the game after I went and did a bit of a rewatch. Like the rest of the game was a lot of joy.
Oh, man.
Tough being a Pistons fan, I'll tell you that much. Tough.
It is, man. Well, like, look, I hope you can join us for the Atlanta game because I don't want to be too confident, but I just feel like they can win that game when they should. I know we said that tonight. We got burned, but I'm going to have to wrap this up here because I've got to go. But, yeah, man, it's been a pleasure as always, and thank you for waiting. You're the man.
No problem, man. I just laid down and stared at the ceiling and was like, "Yep, this is my life as a Pistons fan."
At least know that you're not alone.
No, we got other people. Twitter was burning down right after the game. I just shut that off.
I shut it off as well. I made a couple of posts and just turned it off. There's some things in there. I was like, all right, this is bad, but it's not. I get it, but it's not. Yeah, I can't. The thing is, though, sorry, I'm trying to wrap this up, but when people are like that, now you can't act like. I get why you're feeling like that, even if I don't agree. I can't tell you.
Well, that's the thing. Like low key, I'm feeling the same way.
Yeah, I'm trying to block it out, though.
Yeah, exactly. Like I don't want to feel that way, but anybody who's saying anything disparagingly negative about the Pistons,
Yeah.
There's no argument. How can you argue it?
Yeah, I know.
Like they're still bad.
Yeah.
They've
That's
been
why
bad for years. It's like you can't argue
yeah.
any of it.
I know, man. Well, that's why I like what you did. Like, just sometimes it's best not to look at it. It snowballs. But man, I got to get out of here. I'm going to quickly read some comments, but I'm going to let you go, Cody.
All right,
Thank
man.
you so much for joining, my man, and we'll be in touch soon.
Catch you later.
Catch you, man. Man, Cody's a legend. All right, guys. I do have to go a bit earlier on this one, but I'm just going to go through some comments because sorry I haven't brought them up as much. I'm a bit all over the place today. So we will start here with Vulture. What's going on, Vulture? Hope you're feeling all right, man, after that game. That was a gut-wrench game. I feel like doing this, I've kind of gone through the emotions and got it off me, but maybe later after I'm doing some of my other content, it's going to step back in that, we could be sitting here at 4-5, 3-6. It's only one game, but it just sounds so much better, 4-5. But I feel you, brother. Appreciate you, Sean. Appreciate that. If you feel like you could, guys, I'd really appreciate if you could like this, drop a comment, anything like that. It really help the channel. But appreciate you all just watching, regardless. That's more than enough. But thank you, Sean. Just Football Academy. There'll be games where players have an off game. Tonight, only THJ was hot, and we need at least another guy. I think if he doesn't get injured. Oh, I think Ivy if he doesn't get injured. Sorry, guys. Yeah, I think like Cody was talking about it there as well. Like, you just need 2 out of the 3 vets to show up, and Tim Hardaway Jr. has been showing up every game, and it's just tonight Tobias and Beasley just didn't have it. Unfortunately, Beasley's brought it on like half the occasions, which I feel like is what you can expect from him. It's Tobias. I think 9 games in, we can start to not point fingers, but it's fair to say he needs to be doing more. And I still believe the coaching staff and that can help set him up a bit better, because it feels like the only looks he's getting are in transition or these like fadeaways from like 18 feet out. But yeah, no, definitely valid points. Pistons make me weep. Alan, my man, thank you. His motor is not all there. I think you're talking about Cade. And yeah, sometimes I think like it's not a lack of competitiveness for Cade. I just think sometimes, I don't know if it's his look. Like, is it more of a chill, relaxed type of player, but it just feels like the aggression isn't always where it needs to be. Like, I can even recall in the first half where on a fast break, he had it and he should have just gone up and dunked it. But he just went for like an easy layup and Miles Bridges just swatted it. And those are the plays where, like, I just feel like that's where the aggression lacks at times. As well as that possession where he pushed the screener and the Hornets got a 4-point play, that frustrated me as well, because he was just getting on Stu's case in that game and previous games, which I love from Cade. But you also can't just go doing that, like pushing players. Like, I don't think it was a flagrant, but that was a 4-point opportunity just gifted the Hornets. So I just don't like that from your leader. Drake coming in with some, I don't even know the word, but I appreciate your positivity here. 1 buzzer beater away from winning 4 of the last 5. Can't forget that. No, you can't. And yeah, it's been so good having on Jordan, Blake, and Cody, because I feel like they've all had different perspectives on the night, and all valid, like with what we're like, where this team's at and what we've been exposed to in the past few years. But ultimately, Drake, you make a very good point here. The stats show the Pistons are 3 out of their last 5 they've won, and they could have easily been 4. So that's why I think I say it's, I logged off Twitter very quickly, because I get why fans are so down after that loss, especially with the emotion. Like, I was shattered, but I think I truly, truly believe, and maybe there's something wrong with me, but I still continue to believe this team is trending in the right direction this season, not just overall, because the past few seasons have been bad, but I still like what I'm seeing on the most part, even if I'm frustrated, and would like another win or 2. We've got some more here. Just Football Academy again. Tobias has it in his head. It's mental. He was yelling at himself against the Lakers. yeah, I think at this point, especially those corner threes and the 3-point shooting, I refuse to believe he's a 15% 3-point shooter. Like, he is not that bad. And especially the corner looks, I don't know what's going on. He just constantly shoots it over. It's always too far. And it just, or too short. It's just, yeah, I think you're right. It has to be in his head because I don't think he's this bad of a shooter. Brian, our offense rushes too many shots when we really don't need to. This is a great point from you, Brian. I agree. Then this is where the Beasley thing comes into it for me. Like, I thought he took some threes early in the shot clock in that third quarter and some of the fourth. Just some of those ones where he's dribbling off pick and roll, firing them. Like, I just feel like there's so many other, outlets for offense than that early in the shot clock, like rushing it. There's nothing worse than when the other team scores, Pistons come up, take a quick shot. Like, I think Ivy took one as well, the start of the third, where like Hornets on a mini run. Ivy just comes straight back up, jacks up at a mid range, no pass possession. Like, those are the ones that really hurt because it goes straight back down the other end. Pistons out of position, and more often than not, the other team scores. Veteran Tobias shoots worse from 3 than Killian. I'm sure the numbers are worse right now, Sean. So it's a good point, even though I don't buy into their actual ability. It's as you say here, numbers don't lie. So I can't push back too much. Brian, once again, once we get more than 25 wins, we will have made a step in the right direction. Yeah, I think this season 28 to 30 wins is my expectation, but I think 25 you have to win. You have to win 25 or more. If like. I know that's an 11-win increase, but this roster is so much better than last season. And even though, like Cody said, like, it's still not a great roster when you zoom out and compare it to other teams, they have to win 25 games or more. And yes, that will be some form of a pass mark, even if it's a bit of a low bar. But yeah, I think that's the bar. Yeah, I agree, Derek. Yeah, it hurts. The first 10 minutes of this show, I couldn't even speak properly because I'm still just trying to recover from and mentally process how Detroit lost that game, because it felt like they lost it. Then we had that 1 minute of joy where it felt like they were going to steal it. And then ultimately they lost. And to be honest, I feel like they did deserve to lose tonight. I truly do. And I don't say that trying to be negative. I just think LaMelo severely outplayed the Pistons in the fourth quarter, and I just think the Pistons, they had their shots earlier in the game and just didn't fire them. Sean, final comment I think we'll get to here. Let me say something positive. Our defense has been great considering that we have terrible defensive personnel. That is a very fair call. I think, yeah, defense is definitely not the Pistons' calling card. And I think I saw a stat that they're like 19th in defensive rating. And even tonight, that number probably holds because the final score was still a low score in NBA terms, 108 to 107. So, yeah. No, I think he's doing a pretty fine job defensively. Like, they had the Knicks game, which was and I still think is an aberration. I hope it is. But apart from that, even with the personnel, like you mentioned, I think they're doing a pretty good job of making life hard for their opponents and just getting the most out of what they have. Yes, that summarizes everything. The Chosen One. Appreciate you. So, guys, that's going to do it for today's show. Very, very disappointing loss. Most heartbreaking loss of the season. That was all the emotions of sport in like 1 minute. I feel like we felt them all. But yeah, I'll have a review out, a mini recap out in the next few hours. But yeah, I appreciate you all joining me. I'm a bit flat after that one. I think we all are. But I think overall we're still trending in the right direction. It's only the 9th game of the season. I appreciate you all joining. Please like, subscribe, drop a comment if you feel like you can. If not, all good. Appreciate you watching. And we'll be back to review the Hawks game on Saturday, which is hopefully a win. But until then, go Pistons.